So in this video I'm plastering this kitchen, but I'm only going to be plastering what needs plastering. So I'm going to be doing the chasers, filling that air vent in. When it's finished, everything's not going to be skimmed. First thing I'm going to do is mix up some bonding coat. I've already gone round and PVA'd the chasers, and now I'm mixing up some bonding coat to a nice creamy consistency. Like and subscribe and hit the bell for more plastering videos. Thank you. So I'm going around all the chasers, filling them flush with the original surface in preparation for skimming. It's very important when you are plastering to work quickly. Plaster does go off. This bonding coat will be ready to skim firm enough in probably about an hour and a half's time from mixing. This kind of work is probably the most difficult. We've got sockets and switches to go around, so getting around these sockets and switches is always tricky. You can't beat having a nice clear room with no or minimum sockets and switches to go around. But unfortunately this kitchen has lots, so that is going to slow you down when you are skimming or plastering a kitchen like this. That reveal had a huge gap behind it, so I've actually put a board in it and put some bonding coat behind the board, and then I'm bonding coating straight over the top of that board. It just saves me putting a lot of bonding coat into that gap. When you have deep gaps like this, it's really important to get plenty on your trowel and roll it into the gap, and then square it off later. You'll see me in a minute. I'm putting plenty in and then squaring off, using my trowel to flatten that surface off. And I will check, there you go, I'm checking the surface as well to make sure it is level with the original. Once all the chasers are done, I'm going to PVA the rest of the kitchen where I'm going to be skimming. And then once I've done that, I'm going to let it dry for a little bit. And then once the bonding coat has firmed up enough, I will PVA the bonding coat as well just before I start skimming. There's the finished article, the bonding coat, the preparation's done, and everything's PVA'd what I'm planning on skimming. So I've checked the bonding coat and it's nice and firm, so I'm going in with some multi-finish. Mixing up a full bag of multi-finish, and that should be enough for everything that I need to do. Once I've got the right consistency, I'll scrape around the outside edge of the bucket just to get rid of any dry bits, and then I'll give it a really good mix so that there isn't any lumps. I'm spreading my first coat roughly 2mm thick. I always stand on my platform first and get the top areas done, the areas that I can't reach from the floor first. Progress is quite slow because of, again, all the sockets and the switches I've got to go around. It does slow you down quite a lot, but I'm working as fast as I can. That plaster, I've got about 45 minutes with it before it starts to go off, and then it's going to firm up and firm up and firm up. So by then I want to be troweling things up. I want to get this first coat on as quick as possible. Working in this situation in a kitchen swat, it's only a small kitchen but it's a difficult one because there's so many switches and sockets. This is probably the most stressful time, getting your area covered, getting your surface on first coat, and then obviously I'm going to be going over it again with a second coat straight after. So it's a continuous work. It's physically demanding, plastering. It's one of these, it's probably the only trade that you can't actually have a break when you feel like it. Once you've got a mix on, you are committed to getting that area covered and getting that mix where it's required. So I mentioned at the beginning that I'm not skimming everything, so the right hand side of that plastered wall there, I'm not going any further than that, so I'm actually feathering my plaster off, making it blend into the original, so when it is decorated and painted you can't see the join. The nana part of my trowel just fits in between the wall and that socket, so I'm using that to get in between that area. With the other socket, the switch, I need a margin trowel to get in between that area. So this is the last bit that I need to do. It's now the first coats everywhere, and then I'm going to go around everything again with a second coat straight away. I'm not going to hang about with this one. I am going to put a bit of water in my plaster, mix it up again so I've got a wetter mix, and then go straight over everything again. So I've got first and second coat on there. I'm cleaning my bucket out next and cleaning my tools off, and then I can start to trowel things up using a brush and my trowel. So I'm just using my brush on the surface just to soften the area up and manipulate it a little bit, and then I'm going to go straight over with my trowel to start taking out the lines and the high spots. So I'm brushing around those two switches and pulling it away from the switches, trying to eliminate any high spots. And then I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going around everything in sequence, and then I will literally clean my gear down again and go around everything again in sequence. So for that wet corner, I need a corner trowel. I'm going to place that corner trowel, an angle trowel, into the corner with a bit of pressure, and those two wet edges come together nicely. You could do it manually, but it'd be extremely difficult and a slow process, so using your corner trowel is probably an essential. So again, I'm just ironing out the creases. It's a little bit like ironing, but using water and a trowel. So I'm just scraping down that feather edge to make sure that that plaster completely blends in to the original surface, so when it is painted I'm not going to have any eye spots or any lines detecting that I've done that kind of work. I'm using my finger trowel there, using a bit of fat from the trowel and my finger trowel to get in between a tiny little gap that I couldn't get. I always leave little things like that until the end of my gauge. That way I'm not wasting valuable time when I'm trying to spread the big areas. So I can take a bit of a breather now. I've got everything in a good position. The lines are very minimal, so I can have my dinner and I'll come back and give it a dry trowel. So I've got my flexi trowel now and I'm just finishing everything off. Firm strokes, just to give it a nice smooth marble-like finish. Right folks, so that's just about done on that one. So all that's left for me to do now is tidy up and pack my tools away and go home. Thanks for watching guys. See you on the next one.